When Petro came to Yafor to raise Tabitha from the dead, having set the knees, he prayed, and turning to the body, he said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Petro, she sat up. And he gave her his hand, and raised her up, and calling the holy ones and widows, he presented her alive. And it became known throughout all Yafor, and many believed on the Lord. And it was that he abode many days in Yafor with one Simon, a tanner. Acts chapter 10. Now there was a certain man in Caesarea, Cornelius by name, 100 ruler of a cohort, the cohort being called Italica, a devout man, and one fearing the God with all his house, one effectuating many mercy givings to the people, and one praying to the God always. He saw in a vision openly, as it were about the 9th hour of the day, a messenger of the Lord coming in to him, and saying to him, Cornelius. And he, fastening his eyes upon him, and being affrighted, said, What is it, Lord? And he said to him, Thy prayers and thy mercy givings are gone up for a memorial before the God. And now send men to Yafor, and fetch one Simon, who is surnamed Petro. He lodgeth with one Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. And when the messenger that spoke to him was departed, he called 2 of his household servants, and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continually. And having reported all things to them, he sent them to Yafor. Now on the morrow, as they were on their journey, and drew near to the city, Petro went up upon the housetop to pray, about the 6th hour. And he became hungry, and desired to eat. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance. And he is beholding the sky having become opened, and a certain vessel descending, as it were a great sheet, being let down by 4 corners upon the earth, wherein were all manner of 4-footed animals, and creeping things of the earth, and birds of the sky. And there came a voice to him, having arisen, Petro, kill and eat. But Petro said, Not so, Lord, not even ever did I eat anything that is common and unclean. And the voice came to him again the 2nd time, What the God hath cleansed, make not thou common. And this was done thrice, and immediately the vessel was received up into the sky. Now while Petro was much perplexed in himself, what the vision which he had seen might mean, behold, the men that were sent by Cornelius, having made inquiry for Simon's house, stood before the gate, and called and asked whether Simon, who was surnamed Petro, were lodging there. And while Petro thought on the vision, the Spirit said to him, Behold, 3 men seek thee. But arise, and get thee down, and go with them, discerning nothing, for I have sent them. And Petro went down to the men, and said, Behold, I am he whom ye are seeking. What is the cause, for what reason ye are come? And they said, Cornelius, 100 ruler, a righteous man, and one that feareth the God, and well reported of by all the nation of the Yehudim, was warned of God by a holy messenger to send for thee into his house, and to hear words from thee. So he called them in, and lodged them. And on the morrow he arose, and went forth with them. And certain of the brothers from Yafor accompanied him. And on the morrow they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius was waiting for them, having called together his kinsmen and his near friends. And when it was that Petro entered, Cornelius met him, and fell down at his feet, and worshipped him. But Petro raised him up, saying, Stand up, I myself also am a man. And as he talked with him, he went in, and findeth many come together. And he said to them, Ye yourselves know how it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Yehudi to join himself or come to one of another nation. And yet to me hath the God showed that I should not call any man common or unclean. For what reason also I came without contradiction when I was sent for. I ask therefore, with what intent ye sent for me? And Cornelius said, From the 4th day ago until this hour I was being in my house, the 9th hour, praying. And behold, a man stood before me in bright apparel, and saith, Cornelius, thy prayer is heard, and thy mercy givings are had in remembrance in the sight of the God. Send therefore to Jaffa, and call to thee Simon, who is surnamed Petro. He lodgeth in the house of Simon a tanner by the seaside. Forthwith therefore I sent to thee, and thou hast well done that thou art come. Now therefore we are all here present in the sight of the God, to hear all things that have been commanded thee of the Lord. And Petro opened his mouth and said, Upon a truth I am perceiving that the God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is acceptable to him. The word which he sent to the children of Israel, preaching good tidings of peace by Yeshua anointed, he is Lord of all. That saying ye yourselves know, which was published throughout all the Judea, beginning from the Galilee, after the baptism which Johanan preached. Even Yeshua, the one from Nazareth, how the God anointed him with Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the slanderous adversary, for the God was being with him. And we are witnesses of all things which he did, both in the country of the Yehudim and in Jerusalem, whom also they slew, hanging him on a tree. Him the God raised up the 3rd day, and gave him to become manifest, not to all the people, but to witnesses that were chosen before of the God, even to us, who ate and drank with him after he rose out of dead ones. And he charged us to preach to the people, and to testify that this is he who is ordained of the God to be the judge of the living and the dead. To him bear all the prophets witness, that through his name everyone believing into him shall receive remission of sins. While Petro yet spoke these words, the Holy Spirit fell on all the ones hearing the word, and the out of circumcision believers were amazed, as many as came with Petro, because that also upon those of the nations the gift of the Holy Spirit became poured out. For they heard them speaking with tongues and magnifying the God. Then answered Petro, Can any man forbid the water, that these should not be baptized, who have received the Holy Spirit as well as we? And he commanded them to be baptized in the name of Yeshua anointed. Then asked they him to tarry certain days. Now the sent ones and the brothers that were in the Judea heard that those of the nations also had received the word of the God.